Peace, family. So here's a little one we wanted to discuss. It's the recent fallout between Lord Jamar and Dr. Umar Johnson. Better late than never. It's something that we definitely wanted to touch on. We've seen a few other people, send their thoughts and their feelings on it. Definitely quite a controversial one. Well, not very too much controversial because I guess if we have an understanding of sometimes how our people is, we can see how these things get. On a side note, it's kind of ironic and what's funny is a few weeks ago, Lord Jamar and them they did a interview with Damon Dash. They did a stream, and as it goes in media, a lot of stuff gets repurposed nowadays and re-uploaded. And we actually re-uploaded some of the footage between Lord Jamar and the interview stuff they did with Dame Dash, and we got sent a copyright strike from Lord Jamar Godcast, and I actually emailed them and was like, "What's good with that?" And they emailed back, and it was a bit funny, and I was like, "Okay." And I found it kind of interesting because, in light of all the stuff what's going on with this Vlad situation and what has happened, we've heard people speak out and say, "Well, Jamar and them got their name from Vlad," which we know ain't really the case. Jamar been doing his thing, but Vlad actually how introduced him to a younger audience. Now they've had their fallout with Vlad, and they telling people don't go on Vlad no more and stuff, which is cool. We've been riding with them. There's been all this talk about the necessity for black media and more black media outlets and that sort of stuff. And we're here as an independent black media outlet from the ground up doing the stuff what we need to do. So I found it kind of funny that they sent us a copyright strike, and they could have asked us to take it down. With all the other stuff we put up from other publications and places, that hasn't happened. So I thought that was quite interesting. So back to the topic at hand, man. Jamar and Umar Johnson, and I think this brings me to the point because sometimes what I feel with our people is we get this sense of everybody wanting to be the big boss. Some people it's warranted and they've earned it. It's like Dame Dash. He carry himself with a certain mannerisms and certain mode when he talks and acts, but to a degree, is that it. What I found interesting, like with the Dash interview, you got everybody speaking to him, but I don't know if people notice, but when blacks sometimes be talking to each other, it's like they walking on eggshells, or they gotta be mindful because one person is a boss in their right, and next person is a boss in their right, but the way that we often speak and sometimes engage with each other, nobody don't want to put somebody over too much unless they've got the grounds to do it. So I think that kind of interesting dichotomy sometimes when we look at these conversations. So back to the Umar Johnson, same thing. Jamar and them, they taking the head of steam now. They getting in all the quote unquote popular people, I guess, that are around their sort of circuit, the conscious circuit. So as much as everybody say we need all these independent media and we need to start feeding these big guys, when you got the little guys coming up, I don't know if half of these guys that go on these platforms will go on a smaller platform. They probably wouldn't give it the time of day to help it build. Once there's one there that's sort of established, everybody sort of crowd around it as we see. So, peace to the guys for the stuff they do, and I'm going to always support them. But, we're looking at this now and we're seeing, okay, well, Jamar asking some questions in regards to, some funds and some allegations and some stuff to do with the school. And the thing is, Umar breaking down some things. And one thing with our people is that we just have this ignorance where I think sometimes one person want to be right or just what they say has to be true. And it don't look good sometimes for us to be having all these petty squabbles, because even something at the back of this Vlad thing where everybody's trying to cause a greater point for people to stand up and be on code and all that. We've seen, Royce and my son kind of go at it slightly. Then now we've seen this platform is, making its emergence with the Godcast, growing. But then now we see this sort of stuff. And I'm glad they still kind of kept it up and, wanting to keep it at a certain point, just so people can see the reality of things. But I think it don't do no good. I think sometimes our people have a lack of understanding where, Jamar was talking to Umar, for instance, and he breaking it down and he's saying, well, he know people that have done this or done that. And a lot of times we want people to do things that suit us or with the people that we know and all of that sort of stuff. So, I don't know, man. What do you guys think? You guys think Jamar was down bad for it, or you just asking the questions, or you think Umar was down bad, or you think Umar was justified in what he was saying, because if other people ain't done what's necessary, how do they know what it entails? It's easy for our people or anybody to sit down there and say, oh, it took you 10 years to build a school, or it took you 10 years to do this. A lot of the greatness that's been achieved from our people, it has taken many years, and it's usually from those who have set themselves apart and others don't have the full understanding. So we could talk about Jamar and the Godcast, them. They just getting the understanding and the idea of how to get onto YouTube and start making some money from their channel, even though they're sending copyright strikes to people and stuff. But that's all good. But when you say that, you think we can't complain about guys like Vlad or whoever exploiting the culture, because it's not rocket science. You've had people doing YouTube and stuff for years, so we kind of catch on to some things sometimes late, and but then we're quick to point the finger at others and tell them they ain't doing stuff in the right time that suits us, or they ain't doing stuff in a way that suits us. So I got more thoughts on the situation, but I want to know what you guys think. Let me know. Drop us some thoughts and comments. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and definitely let us know what you're feeling with this one, because it's an important topic, especially to do with our community and our culture. So peace to the family. Stay up, stay woke, and always look out for you folks.